live, and we are this is Math 60, section 6.4, Intermediate Algebra, Complex Fractions. And here is Tall Spider here to tell you, don't worry, just because we're making fractions more complex does not mean this is going to be harder. Really, would a spider lie to you? A tall spider? I don't think so. Okay, so first we need to talk about two words. One word is simple. Now, simple in English means, many things, but in math, it means that there's one part or one piece. Complex means that there are multiple parts or pieces, and that's really important. Simple does not mean easy. There are lots of things that are simple in math that are really, really hard to do. Complex does not mean difficult. Complex means there's a couple different pieces, so you gotta treat it more carefully and do what you can to see what's actually going on, work with it. So let's take a look. I'm going to jump right in rather than telling you how to do it. I'm going to go ahead and simplify. This is a complex fraction. Why is it a complex fraction? Well, I've got a fraction in the numerator and a fraction in the denominator. This is complex because it's a fraction inside a fraction. It's fractionception. Fracception? I don't know what it is. Okay, so basically this is the way we're going to look at it. You take the one on top first. Pops down, 1 over x. You take the 1 over y, the one on the bottom, second, and you divide them. Because that's what a fraction is. It's the top divided by the bottom. So again, let me write over here, a over b is a divided by b. Woohoo! So now what is, if I've got 1 over x divided by 1 over y, do you remember how to convert this? You convert it by taking the second fraction and flipping it upside down. And when we first started playing with this a while back, I put a little yellow around the circle. Sorry, a yellow circle around the multiplication to remind you. So the denominator fraction flipped upside down. Now, any of you who've gone surfing with boogie boards, which I know isn't really necessarily surfing, but let's go with it. If you've ever tried to push a boogie board under the water or even a piece of styrofoam, any piece of styrofoam, what happens? As hard as you push it down, it comes flying back up upside down. So if you've ever gone surfing, this makes perfect sense. You're pushing the 1 over y, sorry about that, pushing the 1 over y down into the denominator makes it flip back up upside down. So I actually get y over x. It's not so bad. Complex fractions, not necessarily the most difficult fractions. Okay, what sort of things can I throw at you to make it more difficult? Dun, dun, dun! I could only give you one thing that looks like a fraction. So on top, I've got x. On the bottom, I've got 1 over y. And you're asking me, you're looking at that going, wait, who's on top, who's on the bottom? It's hard to tell. I understand. But if you look very carefully, you see how this fraction bar, and I just found out, literally today, there is a word. It's a Latin word which I have suddenly forgotten, but it means fraction bar. There's actually a word. I had no idea. And clearly I still don't know because I can't remember what it's called. It's like vinculum or something. I've probably inadvertently said something really bad in Latin, and I am so sorry, Mrs. McNamara. I don't remember much of my Latin. Okay, so this line, the fraction bar is bigger than this little one, so that's the main one. So we've got x on top, 1 over y on the bottom. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to write it as x divided by 1 over y, just like we did up above. And then x times y over 1. Now, in this case, I got a couple options, right? I could remember the y over 1 is just y, or if I'm feeling nervous, x by itself can always be written as x over 1. So you can always write something, anything that's written as a whole number or as a non-fraction can be written as a fraction by putting it over 1. I've got x over 1 times y over 1. And so I end up with Well, it's x times y over 1, which is just x times y. And it's up to you how much of that you write. I know a lot of this, I'm writing a lot of extra steps. Woohoo. So far, so good? Hey, what about another page? Yay, let's do it. More pages, more math. I know. Dun, dun, dun. This is the hard one. Dun, dun, dun. It's not actually. There's going to be harder ones that are coming in the next video. This is going to be not the hard one, but can I propose that this one will be a little bit more challenging? Now, notice what I did. I exaggerated the size. Look at that. But basically, hopefully you can see the 1 over x, that fraction bar in the 1 over x is much smaller than the other fraction bar over the y. So I believe the 1 over x is on top and the y is on the bottom. So just like the others, I'm going to write out the division. Now, how do I flip the y upside down? Well, this is what you do. Remember what I just said. Any whole number or thing that's written as a whole number can be written as the thing over 1. You can always put a 1 in the denominator. A 1 into the denominator. I can do that. I can enunciate. Okay, so now switch this to multiplication, flip it upside down, and I get 1 over x times y. Ta-ta! What do you think? Hopefully this is making beautiful, perfect sense. This method, the division method. Woohoo! Okay, next video. What happens when terrible things happen? What are we going to do? I don't know. We'll find out. It's very exciting. It's like a cliffhanger. You got to come back and find out.